Funniest thing about doing a podcast at the crib is like upper body dressed, no shoes,
Yep.
no socks,
No pants.
no pants. All right, let's get it cracking. Let me turn it up. I need to feel it. When the music is hype, I gotta get in my mood. I gotta get in my zone. Let me get some of these.
Live and
I need the horns. The horns is the motivation. The horns get me hype.
I wish y'all knew what time it was.
Hey. You gonna kick that verse? I've been waiting for your verse.
Man, you don't want it.
I've been waiting for the
I'm gonna
verse.
tell you one thing. This little speaker thing messed up my voice.
You always whispering.
I know.
You
now
always
I really...
got the little sexual voice going.
Shut up.
Who you trying to seduce?
God,
Who
you're
are
so
you trying to
embarrassing.
seduce?
You embarrassing.
Man, let's get it cracking. This is episode 3. I'm hoping that the volume goes down a little bit so when y'all hear me talking and all that. This is episode 3. We made it to another one. How you feeling, baby?
I feel good.
You feel good. I feel pretty good too. We got a cool show going for y'all today. We got a couple topics that we want to touch into. I know our last episode, I really enjoyed the food. I really enjoyed everything. It was a little long though. I think we should cut it a little bit down this time. And we're going to give y'all some more talking too. We're going to get some more back and forth, you know. That was our food podcast. That was the food podcast.
Which is always fun.
We'll probably bring that back sometime too. Tell us how you liked it, you know. Leave some comments if you want to see something in particular, some specific foods.
Yes.
Let us know. We can get some I saw some brisket, chili cheese looking fries, and
Oh my God.
they look mighty tasty.
I'm just waiting on the day where I could have my food here. You know, my producer, my manager, he told me I can't, you know.
I mean, you could do it. Just it's funny
I
though
be
too.
hungry. So, yeah.
All right, it's very late, and
Very.
I want to get into this topic, man. And I saw something on IG the other day. You actually sent it to me. Do you want to tell the people about it? It's a really controversial topic, in my opinion, and somebody got some explaining to do.
Who?
Not you.
Well, it's this one podcast that I like to follow. It's called Good Moms, Bad Choices, and I love it. They were discussing a topic with Dame Dash, and they were touching on...
Well, on the podcast, they were having a discussion. I don't know the full context of it. All I know is pretty much the little clip, which is kind of bad. You know, I only know the clip, and the overall substance of it is he's basically saying that regardless of the scenario, the man needs to do everything in a relationship.
Yeah,
so
he should pay all the bills.
the man should be paying all the bills. The man should be the financial provider. The man should be this. The man should be that. So let me actually play the clip. I'm kind of interested to see how I'll put this audio in here. Maybe I'll just play it like this. Hopefully it's a video on the screen for y'all too. But let me just take it back.
Making sure our dreams come true. Like I said, if a girl got $1 million in the bank and I got 500,000, I'm still paying all the bills. That's what I think a man's job is to do. I do that so that my daughters won't accept anything less. If their man's not a slave like their daddy, at least as a slave like your dad, because that's what a father has to understand. A girl's gonna accept what their father is. Like if your father was yelling at their moms and not there and all that, she's gonna accept that because that's what she's used to seeing.
Right.
But my daughters are used to seeing me get played by them, and I'm the victim. I let them do things to me, like say shit to me and play me, just so they're all right with them doing that to a dude. That's why I want
You consciously take the beating.
You're taking the beating so that they
100%.
get used to doing
So
it.
that it's not the other. They're not the ones taking the beating in a relationship. I think that's true. That's
All right, so it's a lot to unpack with that.
Yeah, it really is.
It's a couple parts. Like Dame is always controversial. It's a lot of stuff with Dame. He's not the most likable person to the average eye, and there's certain things that he does say that where it's like he'll challenge your thinking, and sometimes you might not want to hear it, but he's saying some real stuff. Now with this one though,
I mean, to me, okay, so the main thing is, should men pay all the bills? And see, growing up, it was my mom and my dad. So that's what I saw. I saw my dad being the financial provider, and then my mom did everything else, which sometimes, it comes with strings. It's like, okay, if I'm taking care of the bills, then I expect this, that, and the third. And growing up seeing that, you're kind of like, okay, well, now I'm equating money to power.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I'm equating it to control. So I want to be the one that's in control. I want to pay my bills and take care of myself. That way, I don't have to hear nothing. I don't have to hear nobody's nothing because I do it all. So I don't mind taking on the role of doing it all. And I think a lot of women this day and age, that is what they would rather do. They would rather say, I have my own. And our independence becomes so strong where when it is time to get into a relationship and things like that, we have so much, I don't want to say the word baggage because it sounds heavy, but you have certain requirements and certain things that you will not take and you will not break for your other half.
Well, so what I took from it, because let me go specifically, he said, if I have 500,000 in the bank, she has $1 million in the bank, then I'm still paying everything. I don't be knowing if he just talking, if he just capping, or if he telling facts. That he might that might be Dame for real, but I don't know. That don't sound right to me.
And for me on that end, if I was dating someone who had that and I have more than him and he's willing to step in and take care of the bills, like that makes me look at you like,
I think we're getting into another thing right over here to where it's like now we're infringing on the independence of a woman now at this point. When you start talking about, oh, the man needs to do this, the man's role is this. When you start putting roles in place, I think that some women take pride in being able to pay for themselves, being able to pay their own bills, being able to have their own place and not have to move with the man. So that it sounds good from a chivalry perspective.
Yeah. It sounds peachy until it's like, hey, my credit card bill is due. Or, like for me, I don't want to ever have to come to someone and say, hey, my bills are due.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't want that. On the other hand, it would be marvelous if it was just like, here, you just take that and do with it as you will. That kind of thing where I can put it to where I want to put it. Then that's different.
And then you got to think from a realistic perspective too. Like the average man if we think about the old days, Dame is in a unique situation to where, he probably does have the funds to do that. Most households right now, they're barely making ends meet. Mm-hmm. So, and then, you know what's funny too? The bigger topic on that as well. The part where he's saying like, oh, his daughters, he lets them kind of like verbally abuse him and all of this stuff. So lying. They won't have a problem with abusing men.
Well, okay, I won't say he's lying. I don't want to judge the man. But he's painting himself as like a rug. Like everybody just walks all over him and he's just, he just pays for everything. That's all he does. That's what he contributes. And there are some men that do that. I've learned that a lot growing up and dating, especially if it's like a single mom. They kind of teach the guy or their son, to, just go out and work. Just work. That's what you do. You get a job. That way, everything else will just fall into place. And they're not teaching them anything else other than that. They're not teaching them emotional support or anything like that. It's just like, hey, you work and come home.
It's so much more to a successful household than just bringing home money, than just being a provider. Mm-hmm. And we've had our own experience to where you were a stay-at-home mom for a while. And, it can have unique stresses on each side. And it's not always just the financial. A lot of it is the mental, the emotional. I feel for you because your job can be more stressful than mine. I'm talking about as far as when you're at home all day and it's like a cliche thing where people say, "Oh, your job ends at this time," but the job of a parent doesn't stop. Yeah. It's super true because
there's no PTO, no sick time. No vacation.
It's none of that. And then also, you got to keep them entertained. You got to keep them educated. You got to keep them nourished. It's a lot of different things you have to touch on. And then even after that shift is over, it's still more entertaining. It's still keeping them getting to bed on time. So the job is very difficult. But going back to the daughter thing, I think that can have an adverse effect. I don't think that it'll always work out how he thinks it's going to work out, because they might look at him like, yo, my daddy was a pushover. I don't want no dude that's a pushover. I want my dude to be verbally abusive.
Oh, Jesus.
like not that far.
Not go from here.
Not verbally abusive, but I want a dude that's going to talk back and snap. Pause.
Well, I don't think like talk back, but you want someone who is assertive and respectful. You also want someone who can teach you some things and not just be, the backbone where it's just like, you make the decisions. It's kind of like, well, teach me something.
Well, I'm kind of going more from the perspective of how many times do you see somebody trying to put something in place and the opposite ends up happening from that situation? So you give the kid everything they want. You basically, you work hard and your kid doesn't have to want for anything. So in a certain sense, like a rich kid thing. Now they go out in life and they've never had to work hard for certain things, so they take certain stuff for granted.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there's another side. He might be skewing her view of men.
Yeah, because your parents are your first teachers. Those are the ones who set the tone, set the foundation of what you want and what you don't want in a partner when you get older. You see them, you watch them, you listen to them, and it's like, oh, I don't like that, or, oh, I like that. And for me growing up, having both of my parents in the household, it was you got to see the woman role and the man role, and you learn what you wanted and what you didn't want. And I mean, as you grow older, you kind of understand that your parents are just trying to do a little bit better or better than their parents. So hopefully, each generation gets better. And when you get out into the world, it's like, okay, sometimes it doesn't happen where I want someone like my father. Maybe certain traits, but it's like if you have a verbally abusive parent, you don't want that, It's like, I don't like the way that feels. You don't want that,
but you know how they say people that come from abusive households, like the men, their dad beat up the mom or something like that. Sometimes they end up being abusive themselves. Just like even with sex offenders or whatnot, kids that suffer from certain child abuse, they end up being the abuser. And it kind of happens in history. Yeah. It's a cycle of the oppressed becoming the oppressor. So, like I said, it can have a crazy effect. I think the better thing to do is to just educate and try to be balanced. Because like they say, too much of anything isn't good for you. You can have too much vitamin C and it can fucking kill you.
Yeah.
I don't want to curse and all that, but it can kill you.
But yeah, that is very, very true. I think communication, oh my God, that word, I know it's just spilled everywhere all the time. You hear it all the time. Communication is key and things like that, but it's like, please educate your child and love them in a way of where you want them to grow. Talk to them about the things that you've gone through and what you want for them. Don't sugarcoat certain things. I mean, everything has a age and a time to go there, but I really think it's important to sit down and break it down to your child who you are, where you came from, and how you want to make their life better. It's important. And to me as a parent, it's important for me to not just say, be quiet because I said so, even though I'm going a little off topic, but it's me being the first teacher and me letting them know, no, I'm not just going to be your financial provider to where you just come to me and ask me for money all the time. That's not going to happen. I want to be your emotional support system, your mental stimulator.
Yeah, communicate with them. You just telling them what it is and not kind of explaining, and they don't even understand at that point. So if you just tell them like, nah, you kind of want to have that dialogue with them so they even understand what's going on.
Yeah, saying no and just leaving it at no is such a wall. I hated that growing up, just telling me no, and then it's like, well, why? And it's like, because I said so. Well, I'm inquisitive at this age. I want to know why it's a no. Is it hot? Is it bad for me?
Yeah.
Is it going to do this to me? Like, stimulate my mind and help me understand, okay, let me not do this because it does that.
Well, communication is a big thing as far as parenting and all that, and as far as learning. Some people feel that two-parent households are actually more beneficial than a one-parent household. Some women, and some men as well, they feel like the other party is damaged when they come from a single-parent household. So what would you have to say as far as that? What's your opinion? What's your perspective coming from your background? And I have obviously a different background. We'll kind of get into that right now, but what do you feel about that?
Growing up, first of all, I didn't know that things were different. I always grew up thinking that everyone had the same things I had, always. And it wasn't until I got into about the fourth grade or so where I started to understand that, kids didn't come from the same background and have two parents in the house. It wasn't until my adult life to where I really understood that it doesn't matter if you come from a single parent, with multiple parents, and sometimes even raised by your grandparents. It's the person who's raising you. It really comes from the household setting and what can be brought from it.
Well,
And
it's a mixture of things too, because not just solely the person that's raising you, it's also the surroundings. Because you can have a mom and a dad in a household, but if they're not doing their job, then you end up being more screwed up than the kid that had that one parent that was really on it, that was really talking to them, that was really teaching them things, that was, teaching them the game. Ghost.
Yeah, and it's the setting, and I'm not saying that they have to have the best of the best or anything like that. It starts with the mind. You can paint vivid pictures with your mind. You can teach your child things just by articulating certain things to them and expressing yourself to them to where they can now picture this. When I grew up, my dad, he used to drive me up Wilshire, and I used to see the big buildings, and I see the billboards that were slapped on the side of the buildings, and that kind of picture stimulated me where I'm just like, well, how does this happen? And how can I get my face up there? Or look at these homes that are over here. And it's just, sometimes you have to think outside of the box. You have to really study your child and understand where they're strong and things like that. So I don't really think one is better than the other.
I think it's everybody's story is unique. Everybody's going to have different experiences because you're going to have some people that's on each side of that and they're going to have different experiences. They're going to have different outcomes. My background is a little bit different, of course. I came from a single parent household. My mom and my dad, they were married, and I wasn't a bastard.
I was.
But that changed in the course of growing up, with divorce and whatnot, and living in a household, my brother, my sister, and it was my mom. And again, I think a big part is finding some type of role model, somebody that steps up and does their part. So it doesn't always have to be a dad or a mom. Not everybody is going to have that anyways. You got a lot of people that come from foster care, people that lose their parents and different things of that nature. But it's always good to have somebody that can provide you that wisdom, that knowledge. Like my brother, he was kind of one of the ones that taught me on that as far as like cleaning my shoes. It was like such a small lesson, but it's something that stuck with me throughout the course of my life. Like I've always, every time I was going to put on a pair of shoes, I always have to clean them off first. Like that was a big thing, cologne, different things like that. And, my mom had different, her like it was one of the people that she was dealing with when she was when I was growing up, and he taught me a lot of stuff too. So it's always good to have somebody that you can pick their brain, get some information from, and it's not always like a down and out type situation. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's still different. But coming from a single parent household and going to school, I could see the difference in why I wouldn't even want that for my son, because it's a different type of struggle with that one income versus the multiple income household. It is a completely different struggle. Mm-hmm. So like, me going to school. Your confidence and all that stuff is different when you don't got the proper attire, when your clothes ain't the freshest, so it's like, it's different areas that impact your life on a daily. Yeah. But one thing that I got from my mom was like a true hustler, like for real hustle, to the point to where we always had a place to stay. We never went without. We always had food to eat. We always had clothes, shoes. My mom, she got it done. Even at points where my mom would be working, and then she would have points where she not working, but we would always have. And if I learned anything from her, is how to appreciate, having nothing. Because I remember at points where, after high school, whatever, no income, and, being content with just a little bit. Mm-hmm. So when, getting something and having something, you're appreciative. I know how to come from the bottom. You know what I'm saying? I know I've been there. So kind of the way up, I think it'll be harder for me. Like that's kind of a part of my thinking with music. I mean, I'm sorry, music. That's part of my thinking with money and stuff, like savings and all that. Like, we talk about saving and building a company, LLCs, going into all of that. I think that single household thing, the struggles that I experienced, that helped me to want to be more stable. Mm-hmm. That made me want to have a place to live, a home, all these different things. So I think experiences and how you react to them, it's going to be unique for everybody.
Yep. It's a healthy growth, especially when you get into the dating world, when you start dating different people and you learn their backgrounds and you get a piece of appreciation from where they came from and how they were able to see things differently than you. See, for me, I was a little sheltered to the point where, I'll tell you this one story, where I woke up in the morning and we didn't have any strawberry jelly. And I was devastated.
Strawberry jelly.
I don't eat grape jelly at all. At all. I just remember calling her. She was at work, and I called her, and I was just like, "Ma'am, how am I going to put jelly on my toast? I don't have no strawberry jelly." And she said, "Girl, I'm at work," and hung up on me. And it's just like you go through that, and you don't realize that you're spoiled. You just know that you're always, when you look in the fridge, you have options. And now all of a sudden my options are gone and I don't know what to do with them. And I kept that mentality as an adult to always have options. My father embedded that in me as well, that I don't have just one route. I have multiples. And I can maneuver whichever way I would like to. I just have to understand that and be strong with that and know who I am.
And that's kind of part of the go-getter thing I was talking about, because like you saying with having options, like, we came from having, it would be points where we balling, and then this is one of the things that come with the single parent household, is that it's points where you just kind of like right at the you making it, know. Mm-hmm. But it makes you get creative with food. The reason why I cook to this day is because I had to be creative. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could whip a potato in so many different ways. Like, you gotta hook it up. You could put cheese, you could put onions, you could fry them, you could bake them.
You definitely taught me how to.
Man, a potato is the most versatile thing that you can rock with. But damn, you know what? Get a little bit more on the screen, girl. Come back to this little song.
I'm sorry.
Get up over here.
Sorry, y'all.
This was a popular topic that I saw online, and they were saying that dating a person that comes from a single parent household can be more detrimental than dating somebody from a multi-parent household. So what's your opinion on that situation? What's your experience? Is something that is there information that you can share with us and your personal experience from experiencing one of the two things? And I said experience a grip of time, so
experience.
Experience. Yeah, so I'm gonna edit that out. I'm gonna edit that out, and if I leave this in here, that's gonna be even funnier.
That's funny. But That's funny that you asked that because I was raised to think like that, like never get with a person who was raised by just one parent. And I just thought that that was unfair because that kind of puts me in a box. I'm not used to being in a box. I'm used to being taught to do as you will and how you feel.
I think that some people, like especially from a male perspective, some people can be spoiled. So you like from a female going to a 2-parent household individual, and again, everybody is unique. It's gonna be some hate in the comments. Some people not gonna like that, but I think that some of them dudes could potentially be a little spoiled.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a spoiled man.
All right, so tell me, what would your perspective be as far as a man with a single parent household and a woman with a single parent household? Which one do you feel like would be the most difficult?
I'm gonna say whenever it's if it's a single dad with a daughter, yeah, it's gonna be super difficult. I think a woman raising a son, it's a little bit more relaxed. They tend to
Is it that that's just more common?
Yeah, quite possibly.
It's probably because that's just more common.
Yeah, but I know single parents, single mothers who are raising their daughters. They have them on a tight leash too.
Yeah.
They're not, they're not just everywhere. But then on the other hand, there are some that are. So, I mean, everybody, there's this big thing with the world of you have to be in this specific lane. And not a lot of people are opening up their eyes and their minds to understand that I can do whatever I want. Like in life, you don't have to go by this imaginary rule book of because I am a single parent with a daughter, I have to do this, or because I have a son, I have to do that. It's you do what's comfortable for you and what works for you, what keeps your stress levels down and what makes things flow. There's this big thing of judgment and caring what other people think, and it's like, who cares? Yeah. These people aren't taking care of you. These people aren't. Who cares? People are going to talk regardless. So you do what's comfortable for you. You do what's best for you and your child, and you keep it pushing. Like there's no right or wrong way of doing this. As long as you raise your children to be decent human beings, and they can grow into this world, and they're not trying to kill people and steal from them and things like that, you have done an excellent job as a parent.
Huge. That is huge. That kind of reminds me of like. It's a lot of men versus women with this stuff. Like, men's perspectives on things are always a little bit different than a woman's perspective. And as far as like growing up, it's completely different. It's a lot of stuff that y'all can get away with that we can't. It's a lot of little things.
From what y'all say.
No,
y'all like to put these roles out here.
This is a factual topic. If I'm ever anywhere, I promise you, like anytime that we go somewhere, or hey, go take that back, or go do the other. Like, bro, it's not as effective for me as it is for you. And I'm telling you, and it's not even, I don't know if it's not that it's a man and a woman thing. It don't even have to be a dude that's at the register. It don't have to be a dude that's at the restaurant, wherever. It's just the fact that you're a woman. Y'all get passes.
Nope. Because you already know when we somewhere and it's a woman. Don't even
let me mention that I'm a black man, so it's going to
here he go. He pulled out all the cards.
I'm just saying.
Just everything.
But look, even to other black people, like the black man to the black man or the black woman, they always looking at it like, you trying to come up. So
whenever there's a woman involved, I'm always trying to pimp you out until you go on over there and take care of everything. Like, I don't. To me, I think I'm a good reader. I'm a good observer of things. So sometimes I like to you go ahead and do it. You got this. But I don't believe in that whole I am the one who can just return anything, or I'm the one that is good at.
You the returner. You send the food back. Baby, you all of it. It's your role. Like when you signed up for this, that's what you signed up for.
Lord.
Nobody, you seen the meme with Jay-Z standing behind Beyonce? Like, I'm pretty sure that's what was going on in that picture right there.
Okay, listen, see, that's why you got to read the fine print with stuff. Because shit, I didn't see that.
But see, y'all don't want to accept it, and I just want y'all to accept it that we're different. Men and women are different. Like y'all try to say that we're a little bit too judgmental of your clothes.
Oh my God.
Y'all have a problem when we feel some type of way about your clothes. Why is that?
If that's not the biggest pet peeve of mine, I don't know what is. I cannot
I'm about to let you set
stand
yourself up.
for a man to
ahead.
like judge me on my clothing. If I'm getting dressed and I'm feeling good about what I'm wearing, your only job in my eyes, your only role is to hype me.
All right, so
That's it.
just because something looks good, that doesn't always mean it's the right thing. Just because you like something, it doesn't mean it should be done. I like to wear red. I like red. I like blue too, but I cannot wear a red hat on Slauson and Crenshaw.
And I think that's so dumb.
I can't wear a red hat with some red shoes on Slauson and Crenshaw. And in actuality, in reality, yes, women, you should be able to wear whatever you want to. And men, I should be able to wear whatever I want to. But in reality, that's not the case. So I can't live in a world that's off of how it should be. We can only live in a world that it is. So it's like, yo, if you're wearing certain things, it's a certain perception with that.
See, that's not fair.
Well, it's not fair, but it's life.
Yeah.
That's just like, yo, you should be able to be naked in public, but there's gonna be, and it's like, oh, y'all sexualize everything. Y'all sexualize breasts, da-da-da. Like, nigga, yeah.
Y'all do. Men tend to overly sexualize everything. But, I mean, okay, there's certain rules. And sometimes, we do push the rule a little bit. But I don't think it's right. I don't think it's fair that we have to, I have a skirt that's in my closet right now. I can't wait to whip that bad boy out. And it's just like, I have to wait until it's the right time and the right place. And it's like, why I can't wear this on a Tuesday morning because I'm feeling good. Like, I have to make sure, this isn't the proper setting for that and things of that nature. And I just don't, I must have been a hippie in my past life because I just want to be free.
So, how do you feel about men and their perspective on women's clothing? Tell me. You could leave this in the comments. You could tell us somewhere else. What is your perspective?
Yeah, it's a thin line. So
some dudes really want other dudes to lust after their woman.
Yeah.
Like they take some type of pride from like, damn, this nigga wanna fuck my girl.
Yeah.
Like, yo,
yeah.
I'm not with that. I'm not with that. So yeah.
Yeah, I feel the same way sometimes though. Like me and you are out and stuff like that, and if women look at you, I don't mind.
You say that, but I've never seen a woman flirt with me.
Boy,
it don't happen. I've never. A woman has never. I've never experienced a woman flirting in my life.
Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus.
It don't happen, I was trying to find a term, but we're engaged right now. But, we've been doing this for 9 years. And finding the patience and finding ways to communicate, even though a lot of stuff came later in the process too. Finding ways to communicate and understand, that's been like the biggest boom.
Yeah.
That's been the biggest, like...
My biggest thing is never feeling like... never letting doubt sit in to the point where you're ready to just throw it all away. I think for me, I'm always this person where I want things to go a certain way, and if they don't, it's just like, to hell with it. And instead of understanding that you could still shift it could still change if this person is worth it, and that's very key. If they are worth it, because sometimes these guys that you get in relationships with, they're not worth it, and you feel it. But if a person is worth it, then it's like, okay, let me take a step back, let me reevaluate, let me put some things and change some things around, and then present it a different way.
I think that some things people need to understand too is certain relationships are supposed to fail. Like, I think that they go into situations and you're supposed to get certain things from certain situations. Not every situation is going to be the one. I think that you kind of have to go in there with a mentality of you're going to do your best. But at the end of the day, you got to take the good with the bad, and you got to learn from it and apply it to the right person. Because it's things that you learn dealing with certain people and what you can tolerate. And you also learn about the bad things that you brought into situations. Because I was far from perfect in our relationship and in any prior relationship in dealing with people. Even things that weren't necessarily relationships, just people that I was dealing with. I was not the best, but it's about learning and applying and doing better.
Yeah.
And I think that's all we got for today.
I like it. I like it.
All right, my peoples. I don't know how to hold tie, people.
That's what you should have put. You should have him with the
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna go out. We're gonna go out with the same track. And I hope that you guys will tune in to the next episode. We're gonna be back for episode number 4. This is the Kae&Hill Do Not Disturb podcast.
I like talking to you.
This is the podcast.
Now I can go to sleep. I can go to sleep now.
We can both go to sleep.
Ooh,
We can both go to sleep.
Bye, y'all. Bye. We
Hey, I
gotta go.
know this was supposed to be shorter. I know this was supposed to be way shorter than this, but it just started going. But it's all good. I like talking to y'all.
I like talking to you.
Okay, yeah, that sounds way better. All right, peoples.
Bye.
Peace.